All right. Well, welcome to Use It or Lose It Train for Life. I'm excited. Well, I don't want to. I shouldn't say this. I can't be excited because I'm not talking to Kayla, right? I can't just come out and say that. And that I'm excited to talk to Chloe Honaker. She's one of our coaches at OPEX Morgantown. We'll get into a little bit of her background real briefly before we get into our topic for today. But what do you think? What do you think Lauren and Kayla are doing like right now? Let's see. It's what 1 o'clock here. They're out
hmm
west. What do you
It's
think?
funny. I just before I hopped on, I got a video from Kayla. I'll be surprised if she doesn't end up with another stray dog. There's a dog that's on a hike with him, a stray that's been with them for a few days, I think.
Yeah.
She just
Oh,
sent me a
oh my gosh.
video. Of course, they're on a hike, and the pup joined them on the hike. So it's cute
That would be crazy that they would go out there and come back, with a
and
stray dog.
also
It would
not
be,
surprising.
yeah. Well, I mean, what she visited the one shelter. What here? Was it Preston
Mm-hmm.
County? Was it Bridgeport? Where was it?
It's Marion
She
County.
took all those pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Almost
yeah,
got me to adopt another dog that I don't need. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I just hope I'm sure they're having a blast out there, and I'm excited to really get into this conversation with you today. So, Chloe, you've been a coach at OPEX Morgantown for how long?
6 years,
6 years
pretty much
from the
since
start,
opening
right?
day.
Pretty much
Mm-hmm.
from the start
Yep.
when
Yep.
yeah. So 6 years. But how many clients do you average coaching on average?
I'd say the last 3 years I've held close to 40,
40 clients. Yeah, and you've
around
and
40
you've tipped
clients,
it.
give or take.
Yeah, you've tipped
Mm-hmm.
it up to beyond that too. But and the reason I ask that is I would gather to say that of these 40 clients, you've probably seen and heard it all. In your consults on how people are.
Kevin, I wish I could say that I had, but people never cease to amaze me.
Okay, all right.
You know what I mean? Like after years of doing this, you think like, yeah, I've seen most things. And then you get that wild hair consult. It's like, you know what? I didn't see that one coming. I'm trying to think of an example, but I'm not sure it's appropriate for a podcast. But
Yeah, I think I know what you're leaning towards, and but yeah, it's always interesting to kind of hear the client's point of view, what's going on in their mind. We tend to focus, which we need to, right, on the physical growth, the physical improvement, and of our bodies, especially in the
mm-hmm.
gym with what we program. But let me ask you, do you think there's an opportunity for us also to to work on mindset?
Always, I think, we get paid to deliver a service that's often a physical result, but the nuance to what we do as coaches is the physical result doesn't come without mindset.
Yeah.
And that's a hard lesson to navigate, and that's why I'm thankful you've kind of let me pick the podcast topic today, because I'm passionate about what we do. I love our work. I love giving results, but without understanding what motivates people and what keeps people in our gym when the motivation is low, we're not going to be successful at what we do. We
Yeah.
can deliver results, but understanding each of our clients and where they're at, that's the piece that keeps people successful for longer than their stint at OPEX Morgantown.
Yeah, I think you mentioned this in your notes later on, but you use the word consistency. We'll get into that a little bit and how mindset kind of plays that role. But just think about it. To have consistency, you've got to come to the gym maybe when you don't want to. You've got to maybe continue on with your workout if things didn't go quite the way you thought it might be. I thought I was going to feel like this. I don't feel like that. I had a terrible workout. And then all of a sudden, guilt, shame, and blame kind of enters.
Mm.
And that is, I think, kind of aligns with your kind of topic. It's self-compassion versus discipline. And I like, I'm curious to kind of learn more about your thoughts on that. But
Mm-hmm.
do you find do you find, and even with you, maybe even yourself, all right, that you're hard on yourself when you don't need to be? Did you feel like a lot of people tend to be harder on themselves than not?
Absolutely. I would say our clients are really successful people in their field, just generally speaking. Even if they're a stay at home mom or a surgeon, they don't drop the ball in their professional life. So to feel like they're maybe dropping a ball in their personal life, I'd say we see that a lot. And I would dare say, personally, I think I lose clients because of shame more than anything.
What do you mean by that?
Like if a successful client that's like, killing their practice, they're a doctor or an attorney, and their life is so busy that they miss a week and only get two workouts in, right? Shoot, 4 weeks in and I've only made it to the gym twice. I'm really not meeting my expectations. This isn't worth it to me. I'm not doing the thing I set out to do. I think self compassion in our client base is low, is lacking.
Yeah. So they tend to, and I get it. I have this expectation I have for myself. I've got it in other areas of my life. I mean, and now all of a sudden it's really hard for me to keep that same, to live up to those same expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get frustrated and they beat themselves up, right? They just totally they beat themselves up until now here's where we're getting to this mindset. And then they measure whether, okay, this must not be valuable enough to me because other parts of my life I'm able to do it, but I can't do it here, right? Talk to me a little bit about the misconceptions, though, of discipline. What do you think people get wrong the most about discipline?
I think true discipline is rooted in self compassion. I mean, and by that, I just mean if motivation, I want to lose 5 pounds, only gets you so far. There will always come a time in our fitness journey where um, there will always come a time in our fitness journey where motivation wears off, life gets in the way. And I think that's the biggest misconception is that self compassion means laziness. Like, oh, I didn't make it to the gym this week. That's okay. I would agree that that is true. I think if I could summarize, the biggest misconception is that to be disciplined, you can't also hold self compassion for yourself. I think that's incorrect.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you about it because in part of the notes, I'm just looking back up here. If being harder on yourself actually worked, wouldn't you already be where you want to be? And then discipline versus, self compassion and the framing of that. So my question to you is there a blend or could there be a blend? Because here's how I see it. We can be so hard on ourselves that we just quit just because we just can't live up to what we thought we could do. But then we could also and I'm asking you, I could be very wrong on this, okay? We could be so on the other side, the self-compassion side, that every time we make an excuse, we we're okay with it. So is there a balance between discipline and self-compassion? Okay, I can't. We've lost you here, audio wise. That's all right.
What about now?
Yeah, there you are. You're back.
Wonder why.
I don't know.
Okay.
So get you
Yeah,
back.
I'll just I'll just segue back into it.
Yeah.
Um, in my mind, Kevin, discipline is the reason why we often start the thing. Without a little push and a little discipline, we would probably never make it into the gym. And I think you nailed it. It has to be a combination of discipline and self compassion because, like I said, there will come a time in your journey that discipline isn't there. You don't want to get to the gym, and that's where self compassion fills the gaps. And I think too, if we only rely on discipline, we're going to find burnout pretty quick. Whereas self compassion is kind of the antidote to burnout.
So the mindset of no excuses, is that appealing or not appealing? I mean, is that a mindset we should adopt, or is that a mindset we should be careful of?
That's a tricky question
Okay.
because I think we do need to be able to move through the hardships that could be considered an excuse, right? My body doesn't feel well today. Should I listen or go to the gym? So in some sense, I think no excuses when movement becomes your identity, the excuses are less of an excuse. They're just a pivot point. Um, so shockingly, I do think no excuses is a point of view that I support because self compassion says I'm not feeling 100% today, but I'm going to show up anyway.
Hmm.
So to me, honoring yourself and having self compassion lets those things that could be excuses be kind of emerge. And that's ultimately what makes people successful or not.
Yeah, I like that. There's times I don't want to do things, and even like training for this triathlon right now. I was supposed to swim at the bridge this morning down after leaving the Bridgeport facility, OPEX Bridgeport, and they're doing some maintenance on it. I didn't know. I didn't check the schedule, so I had that 1 hour. Now, the
Mm-hmm.
rest of my day does not allow me to swim unless I go over to WVU or the Milan facility here in Morgantown at 6 o'clock at night. Now we got other things planned for 6 o'clock at night. So am I going to make an excuse, or am I going to find a way just this one time to get over there at 6 o'clock when I don't normally swim, but now I'm going to get through it. And I think, and it may not be my best, right? It may not be my best because it's not the time of day I want to go. I might be a little more tired than I typically are because of all the things that are go on throughout the day. But I like this phrase that we're at our best when we do something that we don't want to do when we're not at our best. If I don't know if that
Mm-hmm.
makes any sense, because when everything aligns, if that pool was open this morning and it was 11 o'clock in the morning and I was full of energy and I was ready to swim, anybody can do that when everything's perfect. It's when things aren't perfect that we choose to do them, that we actually see our best self. Does that make
That's
sense?
right. That's beautiful. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So is there a correlation though? Because I struggle with this too, because I can tend to be like this myself. And that is okay, like all or nothing. Is all or nothing related to no excuses? Is I don't. Is it a gray area there? Do they overlap a little bit? Is that all or nothing mentality? Because that could be pretty dangerous. That all or nothing
Sure.
mentality.
Yeah, I don't think all are, I don't know that I believe that all will ever exist, Kev. Like, you will never, I don't know that it's in our human potential to be all the time. I think the only option there is nothing. So, in my mind, they do overlap because excuses could lead to nothing. And a little bit of something is better than nothing. Your 6 p.m. swim where you don't feel like doing it is absolutely better than nothing. I know where you're getting is how do we help people shift out of this all or nothing mentality and find a neutral place. And for me it's acknowledging that I am all that I need to be today. It's enough. However I show up in today is going to be enough because I'm not choosing nothing.
Yeah, I think it's important because is this where we could also fall into the trap? So let's just say um, I've got 3 workouts scheduled, right? You've probably programmed for a number of your clients 3 workouts. Client misses the first one, misses the second one, just because life, right? Things happen. And because I missed 2, I'm not doing the third. and I'll restart on Monday. Talk to me about this Monday restart. Is that something that sparks I don't know if a nerve or a a thought process?
Yeah, I mean, it's very predictable in many ways. How many clients, Kev, do you have that for some reason they went on vacation and then the following week they haven't been in, and then it's Wednesday, 3 weeks after vacation, and they've not yet been in? It's like it does fire me up because if we're moving from a place of what I've got today is enough, then it's enough.
Yeah. Yeah, and just do it. I mean, that sounds really cliche, right? But just give yourself grace, have that self compassion. Understand that it may not be your best workout of the day, but as you said earlier, a little bit of what you've got is enough. I mean, just give what you got that day and keep moving forward and keep. So is this where consistency kind of plays a role, where we kind of have to kind of fight through that thought process, the mindset? I've missed a day. It's very easy to miss day two, but if you could not miss day two, you get right back on track really quick and can keep that consistency.
I think this is where we as coaches come in and the work that we do, because one of the biggest models of motivation has three components. So, like science says, folks who stay motivated well and for the long run feel autonomy. So, they're not necessarily motivated because Coach Chloe's on the floor. They're motivated because they want to show up for themselves. They feel competent. Yeah, I missed 2 weeks of fitness, but I know what to do. I can do this. And they feel connected. So to their coach, to the other folks at the gym, to their community. Research shows those three things are the things that keep people doing what they want to do for the long run successfully, whatever that means to them. So I think without us kind of one helping people build their own autonomy in the gym, without us understanding their why, because we always get a why, initial consult. Why are you here? And we're taught, Kev, to dig deeper than the numbers on the scale. We're
Mm-hmm.
that's what we do best at OPEX Morgantown, is learn the person beyond the superficial goals. And then we teach movement in a way that allows people to be competent enough to know that even their 30% effort today is better than their 0% effort 3 months ago before they joined the gym. So I think without us kind of fostering those things in our clients, we wouldn't have consistency at all.
Yeah, but then but we have days, right, where we're not at our best, and we could possibly make the wrong choice. I mean, it might be too hard of a statement, that we make the wrong choice. It's a choice that you made, but then guilt enters in. But I see guilt, okay, not just entering in uh, after maybe a failure or something that you didn't live up to your expectation, but also I've heard people just on the front end just feel guilty about the last 5 years of their lives, and I'm going to use that guilt to motivate me. Has that ever worked for you? And
It's funny. I was speaking with a client on Friday. I said, they asked me if they could do an in body. It was 5:05 a.m. and someone says, "Can I do an in body?" They're gonna, if they listen to this podcast, they're gonna laugh, and I'm sure they would give me permission to spill this story here. So the first thing I said, "Did your coach ask you to do that?" And they said no. I said, "Have you had a consult?" No. "Why do you want to do an in body?" And she said, "Well, I just want to see where I'm at." So, and I used the word shame train. I was like, "So you want to ride the shame train to get you motivated to fuel your body better?" That's not what we do. We don't. It's a default in our society. I think social media makes this hard. Um, yeah, we don't live in a system that makes it easy to show up for yourself. I really believe that. But I see often folks come to us from a place of shame. That's absolutely correct.
so
Is
as you
shame
see
the
this,
thing that keeps them? Absolutely not.
yeah, yeah, no, I agree 100%. So one of the things that we do as coaches is we help people become aware of things, right? When we do the assessment, we will test their movement and their ability to move in a certain way, right? And we'll be able to detect things and make our client help our clients become aware of a way that they either can improve it or a way that they're just killing it, right? And we reinforce that movement. But in the mindset, how do we let me just, can someone tell? Is there a way for them to identify which kind of motivation they're using? Is it controlled? Is it autonomous? Is it guilt or shame? Is there a way that they can recognize it themselves and maybe self control, just help themselves in that way if they feel it?
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't even have the language to understand, shame, inner dialogue versus like selfhood is the word I want to use. And I think that's where we come in again. And I do think when you're in tune with your motivations and you're in a relationship with yourself where you kind of look at your self talk, I do think you can tell where you're operating from. And again, we live in a society that's kind of built on shame and do better, work harder, you're not enough. So I think we're all fighting that current of moving from a place of I need to be more to a place of this is for me. I trust myself. I'm on this journey and I'm working hard. I do think we can tell where we're operating from. I don't know that many of us have the language or the tools yet to shift out of those negative thought patterns into positive reinforcement and self compassion.
So I gotta believe just knowing you that this word is going to resonate with you, and I've got a couple questions just even regarding it, because sometimes, so I don't know, well, we'll be on video here, but I'll kind of show you. It's like sometimes if I hold my hand to my face right here like I am, and it's about an inch from my nose, and my hand is blurry. If I hold it out at arm's length and I look at my hand, the outline of my hand is very clear. So sometimes we can be so close to a situation, we can be so immersed in it, we cannot, maybe to your point, we cannot recognize the thoughts that are going on, that we keep repeating inside our, that subconscious kind of thought process that we have. Uh, but manifestation, I got to believe you are a fan of manifestation, and my point to that is what we say, how we say it, almost. And you used the word identity earlier. Can we change our self-talk to an identity that we want to recognize first in ourselves, so that others can maybe recognize it in us, where we are projecting a future self by saying it almost every day and manifesting it to become true. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think we have to develop a relationship with that positive voice. But I don't, I think that that's a learning curve for a lot of people. And I'm not sure which comes first, Kevin, like the action of doing better or the internal dialogue. That's a tricky thought is just because I'm doing better, am I better internally? Probably not. Probably not. And I think that's a big push for a lot of people to stay or go is showing up enough.
Yeah. So related to that, and I may be, this might be a big stretch, okay, but I when I look at, okay, so we build the programs for our clients, but our clients they're responsible for coming to the gym and executing the programs that we design. And as they're executing them, the cool thing with the app is that they can put their results in, so they can track. They can get immediate feedback by looking at that history and saying, I started at 20 pounds, resistance at this exit. Now I'm at 45 pounds, and so this is my stretch. Is that in a way kind of like journaling? Because I think, and I know this has nothing to do with exercise, but I think journaling could be a great tool to help people recognize maybe what those thoughts are. So if they've got a month worth of kind of journaling their day and reflecting on a day, they can actually look back and say, and this was what I was thinking on this day. And look at how I've grown. Look at how I've evolved. Look at how I've improved. Do you think journaling could help people discover, where they might be putting their motivation in?
Absolutely, I do. Both in the app, I would agree that logging results could feel like a form of journaling, and I have a specific example of that. I had a client in the gym Friday. She had logged the week prior, 30 pounds go up, and fast forward a week, she's doing the same movement. She looks at her history and she said, "Who was I last week saying to go heavier? Like, holy crap, I did that." And I said, "Well, let's give it a go. You felt like you could last week. Maybe you can't this week. But without that, I dare say she wouldn't have pushed herself in that way." So yeah, I agree. Journaling is a great way to sit down and look at your narrative, because if we don't get it out somewhere, how else are we going to know what's going on 2 weeks ago, and to be able to witness the progression of thoughts and feelings? Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's I don't take the time myself. I wish I would take more time. I believe I believe she journals, if I'm not mistaken. I know she does a lot of reading, and if she's not reading one of her, like, what is it, fictions? Is that what that
Mm-hmm.
fictions are? Yeah. Non-fictions are what I like. Okay, if I look at my all self-help books are all over there, right? And I
Yep.
just but she reads these juicy novels, right, where somebody's upset or doing something, and but then when she does, I know when Kayla does kind of pull out maybe more of a maybe not necessarily self help, but if it's a business book or something that she's reading to learn how to improve herself as a business owner or as a coach or whatever it might be. I know that she takes notes and she journals and she writes her thoughts on those things. So I think journaling is a powerful tool that can help people. Um, Number one, just the habit of each day reflecting on what worked, what didn't work, what did I do well, what could I do better at, and just keeping track of that, and understanding. The other thing I think it does is it maybe demonstrates a point in a person's day or life or week or whatever it might be, and to your point, like, right, who was that person? That did they actually lift that 30 pounds heavier that day? Who was that person? And by journaling, you may have been in a funk maybe last month, but then the week after that funk, you write in your journal how you overcame that and how life is kind of the turning around. And now this month you got a new obstacle, and that obstacle's like just gnawing at you, right? And how am I going to get through this? Am I the type of person? Is my identity like you? Am I a person that can overcome these things? And you can look back in that journal and go, right here, I did it. So it's part of me. I know I can. So I love that. I love that. So, what's the takeaway from today? What's your biggest takeaway from today that you'd like, our listeners? And first of all, thank you for stepping in for Kayla. I didn't know what I was going to do this week. I know for a fact that nobody wants to listen to me for 30 minutes. So I really appreciate you stepping up and especially this topic and having this conversation. But if you had one or two things you'd like people to take away from our conversation today, what would they be?
Well, firstly, I want to say I brought this conversation because it's landed in my lap a lot in my monthly
Hmm.
consults. Folks feeling like it's not enough, or wanting to finish, no longer continue their membership because they're struggling with maintaining the consistency that they thought that they should or would have. I think for our clients, what I want everybody to hear is, one, to your journaling point, you're worth it. You're worth the time to sit down and journal and reflect. You're worth the investment to do 2 workouts a week for 4 months if that's what happens. That the thing that makes people successful and keeps people connected is understanding that you're living a life. We're all living a life that's busy, that's full of roadblocks. The thing that keeps people successful in our gym is understanding that the work that we're doing is never for nothing. And self-compassion says, I'm worth it. Even if it doesn't look like I thought it would, I'm worth it. Discipline says, I know how to do this thing. I've been doing it, so dang it, I'm getting back in the gym. Key takeaways from this podcast are that you have to have both. If you want movement and health as your identity, you've got to find the merge of self-compassion, I am enough, and discipline. I can do this hard thing even when I don't want to.
I think that's a great place to stop. Really. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here today. Kayla's back next week, right? I think so. I think she gets
Day by
back
day,
on
Kevin. I'm
the
taking it day
first.
by day.
Day by day. There you go. Take it day by day. All right. Awesome, Chloe. Thanks so much. Well, we won't be back next week, but I hope our listeners will come back. And not sure what our topic's going to be, but maybe it'll be on this trip out west and about this stray dog that made it
Named
back to
Taco.
Morgantown from Arizona.
They named the dog Taco. Podcast next week, Taco.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, Kev.
Good enough. Thank you.